All right, Shalom. All right,
Shalom.
says we live. Let's check the feed. Bear with us. Okay, we live. Hey, Shalom.
Shalom.
All right, before we get started, we want to give all the praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham Rakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders, a great millstone who taught us the truth. Shalom to the hopeful elect. All right, we're back at you with another live lesson through the Holy Spirit, the Rakakwadash. All right, and this is prophecy news. Charlie Kirk unalived in major psyops, chaotic times indeed. All right, so between last night after camp and this morning, a lot of content is going out about this guy. The internet is on fire right now, man. I mean, I'm talking about every news channel, every news outlet is talking about this shooting, this assassination. Also, as we brought out the other day, dealing with the stabber out here in Charlotte, North Carolina. So basically, what the point of this lesson that we want to point out here is that it's definitely major psyops going out, man. All right, that's why the scriptures command us. Matter of fact, let's open up with that, and we'll get into the video. But the scriptures command us to be circumspect, okay? Because there's a lot of weird shit going on, a lot of controlled type of activity, man. All right, so you got to be on your you got to be on the swivel, man. You got to keep your head on the swivel, right? And you can chime in on anything, if you want to, add in there.
I mean, just like you said, right? This whole thing, right? Regardless of whether if it was a setup or things of that nature, we see the times that we're living in, man. Right? Violence is going to be continuing to amplify. These attacks aren't going to be strange anymore, man.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Soon it won't be headlines to see people getting killed in the streets, man. Right? To see governors or people in politics, right, find themselves in similar situations.
Yep.
Right? They're preparing the people's minds to be more accepting of these things happening, man.
Yeah. So, and we got a video we're gonna play later, but like we said, we talked about the psyops. They're desensitizing the public to get used to of seeing mass shootings, people getting executed publicly. All right, it's all part of that, man. All right, and we're gonna show you this. But go ahead, brother.
That's Ephesians chapter 5 and verse 15. See then that you walk circumspectly, not as fools, but as wise.
Yeah, not as fools, but as wise, man. This ain't the time to be simple, Jake. All right. You see what's going on. There was a video that one of the elder brothers had shared. I guess the guy, what's the guy name from Fresh and Fit? Myron. All right. He was on the that community. What's that community chat thing called? Something house, whatever they all Clubhouse, right? And he had his people on them telling him, like, look, you shouldn't go out to the next debate. Because I guess he was going to some university to do a debate like Charlie Kirk did. And they were like, yo, like, don't even do it. Like, you could be next type shit, man. So that the spirit is, look, you got to be circumspect, man. You guys want to go out there and debate and do all of this bullshit, right? Hey, you guys better be locked in, man. Okay? It's time to be circumspect. This shit is real. Hey, when that viral video went out of Kirk fucking leaking out his neck, all right, that was a wake-up call, bro. All right, it's not a game out here. Go ahead, bro. So I can read it again.
Okay. Ephesians 5 and 15. See then that you walk circumspectly, not as fools, but as wise, redeeming the time because the days are evil.
You got to go ahead, bro.
Right. We're in evil times, man. Right. You have to understand the position that you're in right now, man. We're watching that transition to where they're gonna put the world in a position where you have to bow the knee, right, unto Esau's system, man. And in order to do that, they have to have this political upheaval. They have to have chaos in the streets, and all these things you see taking place are just stepping stones to that ultimate martial law being implemented, man.
There you go. Charlie Kirk was the fall guy. He's the guy they used that's going to push more of this police state martial law. All right, censorship of speech. Okay, locking down America is all here, man. Like I said, even a blind man can see this shit, man. Okay, it's all set up. So let's get into it. Unless you had anything else.
Yeah.
We begin this morning with a Fox News alert. Right now, a manhunt underway for the assassin who shot and killed conservative political icon Charlie Kirk during a campaign.
Now, wait a minute. Hold on. I thought, didn't they already catch the guy? I thought they had somebody, like the videos online showing them, rounding up a Edomite, an old Edomite dude.
Mm-hmm.
So they didn't catch the guy. So what's going on? See, it's a lot of that's the point we're making. It's a bunch of confusion going on, man. Okay.
We begin this morning with a Fox News alert. Right now, a manhunt underway for the assassin who shot and killed conservative political icon Charlie Kirk during a campus event in Utah.
The 31-year-old co-founder of Turning Point USA was struck by a single bullet roughly 20 minutes after taking the stage for his American comeback tour.
People around the world are mourning the loss of one of the driving forces behind the modern conservative movement, many praising him for creating Turning Point and the impact it has had on the American political landscape.
When did you form Turning Point?
In June of 2012.
And why did you call it Turning Point?
You know, at the time, I felt as if we were kind of in a generational turning point. I said, hey, I think we could do a better job of reaching young people.
Yeah.
And now we contrast what we've been able to do, largely thanks to the movement that President Donald Trump has built. We've kind of been riding that energy and that momentum with where the Democrats are now currently. I mean, the tables have completely flipped over the last decade. And it goes to show that this patriotic revival is being led by the youngest Americans. That should give everyone a lot of hope.
We are going to be talking to young conservatives across the country this morning who are reflecting on Kirk's legacy. To countless young people, he was the voice of their generation, pointing to his iconic campus visits where he would open the floor to debate on top political issues. You are watching Fox and Friends First on this Thursday morning. I'm Carly Shimkus.
And I am Todd Pyro. Let's get straight to Matt Finn, live from Orne, Utah, with the latest on the man. Matt.
Todd, it is calm and quiet here on campus of the Utah Valley University right now. Just a stark contrast to the horror that ripped across this campus not long ago. And if I step off camera right now and we push in, you could see a terribly grim scene. You might be able to make out the outline of that white tent that Charlie Kirk was inside of when he was fatally shot on this campus. I believe it might have been a part of his Prove Me Wrong table. This was all a part of Kirk's American comeback tour. He had planned to attend several other universities and college campuses around the country in the coming weeks and months. Right now, the shooter still at large. Two suspects were taken into custody, but both were released. The FBI set up a tip line. Authorities say the shooter appeared to be in all black and on a roof. Here is dispatch audio describing the suspect.
Going to be wearing all black, black long gun, black tactical helmet, a black mask, possibly wearing a tactical vest and jeans.
The Utah Valley University Chief of Police says 6 police officers were working this event. In addition to Charlie's personal security team, 3,000 people packed onto this campus to listen to and engage with Charlie Kirk. Utah Governor Spencer Cox calls the shooting a political assassination.
But I want to make it crystal clear right now to whoever did this, we will find you. We will try you, and we will hold you accountable to the furthest extent of the law. And I just want to remind people that we still have the death penalty here in the state of Utah.
Hey, Cap, if I can make a point
so
on
the
that.
governor reminding people about
he said that after he said they had somebody in custody already, right? So they so-called arrested whoever they had, and then he goes on there and says, we're going to find whoever did this.
Yeah.
Right? So that's just leading into that, more of that confusion, man.
Yep, exactly. Because people like Elder Manatazaba was going into that state of perplexity upon the people. They don't know who to trust. They don't know what to believe, right? But that's exactly how the elite want it. This is why everybody's getting ready to crash out like we were talking about, man.
If I could make a point, too, because what's his name? Kirk, his company or his brand was Turning Point USA. And there's this book I was looking at. It's called The Fourth Turning, right? And it goes into how different political periods shape the landscape of the country, how they repeat themselves, right? And the last two turnings, it says the unraveling is a period of social fragmentation and individualism with weakened institutions. And then the last one is a time of major societal upheaval and war leading to new social order, right? So this, it's the spirit that this happened right, with this guy. We're watching these things turn into this time of war, this time of great violence, this time of societal upheaval, man.
Exactly. Ecclesiastes, the matter of fact, get that real quick and we'll go back to the video. Ecclesiastes 3. All right. There's a time and season of everything as we brought out. Right.
This is Ecclesiastes 3:1. So you want me to jump to the point, or you want to just read through?
Oh, you can read through. It's all on point.
Yeah. Ecclesiastes 3:1. To everything there is a season, and a time to every purpose under the heavens. A time to be born and a time to die. A time to plant and a time to pluck up that which is planted.
Yeah, a time to be born and a time to die, man. The spirit of death is in the air, man. Okay, a time to be planted and a time to be plucked up. All right, so we're seeing the state of American society is being plucked up, is being uprooted, man. Okay, and all the problems are happening internally, man. This is part of the downfall. Go ahead.
A time to kill and a time to heal.
Yeah, a time to kill. Look what happened to Charlie Kirk. All right, the video is going viral all over Instagram, TikTok. All right, just kill shot, man. Go ahead.
A time to break down and a time to build up.
Yeah, look at society. Society's breaking down on every avenue, man. There's no building up, even though they're trying to, gaslight the people and give you this false hope. All right, society is done for, man. American society is being completely broken down, alongside with the trust of the people. Go ahead.
A time to weep and a time to laugh. A time to mourn and a time to dance.
Yeah, society is mourning. The people are mourning. All right. The way of living here is trash, man. Okay. People are the struggle. You see the complaints, the crying out against the way of living. On how to make it, man. Okay. There's great crying out amongst the people. Go ahead.
A time to cast away stones and a time to gather stones together. A time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing.
Yeah, time to refrain from embracing. This is why, again, they're pushing, these elites are pushing that racial division. Mm-hmm. All right. Civil unrest, race wars, all these things are brewing up. All right. And it's getting ready to spill over. Go ahead.
A time to get and a time to lose. A time to keep and a time to cast away. A time to rend and a time to sow. A time to keep silence and a time to speak.
Mm-hmm.
A time to love and a time to hate. A time of war and a time of peace.
Yeah, a time to love and a time to hate. All right. We're in the season of hate. All right. And it says a time of war and peace. We're in the time of war, clearly. Okay. And as we've been talking about, and we've been saying this for years, right? A lot of these problems that's going on in America are all going to be centered around Jake. Jake being the culprit, Jake being the being plastered as the domestic threat. Okay, because there was another I wouldn't say shooting or stabbing. I believe Elder Manatazah had brought it out. Manatazah, I think it was some other college campus in Auburn or somewhere. Some Edomite lady got killed by Jake. You see what I'm saying? So all these things are brewing up for war against the tribes, basically, man. This is what the whole narrative is about. Okay, and Jake is going to be in the forefront as being blamed for it all.
Exactly.
You got anything you want to add it real quick?
That was it.
Okay, come on, let's go back and finish it out.
Capital punishment here in Utah. A manhunt is presumably underway right now, but here on campus, it is very calm. Not even a large police presence here right now, and pretty much anybody in the public could walk onto this property if they wanted to. We've been talking to sources, getting updates from law enforcement, and we will keep you updated hour by hour. Carly, Todd.
And Matt, you just mentioned what you're seeing right now in terms of a police presence, but as you were driving into town earlier this morning, late evening, did you notice police en masse in the area? In other words, were they going door to door on campus, potentially looking for this individual, or was it as quiet as it is right now?
You know, I did not see a huge police presence driving into the campus or even on the campus. They were really just kind of blocking some traffic earlier, but now it's remarkably calm. I mean, if you were to walk here right now, you may not even realize what happened here yesterday. But Fox did learn that police were going door to door in nearby neighborhoods, asking people if they saw anyone that they did not recognize, but no major update there. A source that I talked to, a federal source, said that, of course, there are things happening behind the scenes right now, but we just don't have any major updates, and we have to wait and see what law enforcement brings us.
Well, we lost a generational talent yesterday, and you were standing on a campus in mourning. Matt Finn, live for us. Matt, thank you.
Yeah.
Let's bring in former homicide detective Brian Foley. Brian, thank you for joining us this morning. There is nobody in custody right now. You heard the description of the assassin wearing dark clothing fired from a campus, a roof on campus. Who could have done something like this, given the nature of this assassination?
Well, as a homicide detective, let me speak as a homicide detective, I don't like it. You look at that description, black mask, black helmet, all blacked out, possibly a tack vest. You have a long gun getting into campus, a long gun getting out of campus. No gun recovered at this point. What that tells me is this was well planned, well executed, and my answer to you is I don't know, and what they're dealing with right now is a whodunit. But because you don't see all those law enforcement resources, as the reporter just said, that doesn't mean everything is going on. This is all hands on deck. It reminds me of the Boston Marathon bombing and all the resources that are going to be coming in, state, local, federal. Look at the university. The university is going to be able to help the law enforcement only in regards to recovering a video, opening doors, and getting into places to look to recover the gun. You don't have a shell casing. You don't have anything. This was well planned. That single shot, one gunshot, you look at what happened to President Trump with multiple shots and such, that single shot here is alarming, that it was well planned at range, 200 yards. I'm sure with a high-powered rifle, clearly a high-powered rifle to a trained eye with unfortunately what we saw. For someone to get something like that in and out of a university campus where guns aren't forbidden. So this is a real whodunit for the detectives.
Walk us through exactly what the FBI is doing right now, 4:06 a.m. East Coast time, the day after the shooting.
Perfect. This is a perfect scenario for the FBI to handle because this will likely span a large area. This is 40 miles south of Salt Lake. What they're doing, the main thing I would say is culling resources, putting together teams to go over those resources, going over video evidence. Think about now in the aftermath of the Boston bomb, again, that's why it sounds so familiar. They're going over so much video evidence, and that was a decade or more ago that happened. So there's so much more video evidence today. They're going around door to door. You heard them say in the neighborhoods, they're looking for Ring cameras. They're looking for security cameras. But also universities have license plate readers. There's traffic cameras in the area. The highways have traffic cameras. If you think of remember the Idaho murder where he moves across country, they're tracking those movements. What they're really doing now, though, Todd, is not looking what happened after the shooting and the getaway. They're looking prior to getting up to that building where the shots were coming from. I'm sure they've identified from trajectory. It's not going to be too difficult. The general area from where that came.
Say again.
They're going to be pushing that Palantir, all these. What was the other one? Gideon.
Yeah.
Right. That's what this whole thing could just be set up to, let this guy get away and be able to enforce. Right, all these different types of AI surveillance systems. Man.
Of course, it's always a bigger agenda, man, and that's what we're going to touch on a little later in the next live we do. All right, because all this stuff is being used to justify pushing that police state, man. All right, total lockdown, everything being watched and recorded, monitored, you tracked. You see, so that's exactly what it is, man. Okay.
Universities have license plate readers. There's traffic cameras in the area. The highways have traffic cameras. If you think of remember the Idaho murder where he moves across country, they're tracking those movements. What they're really doing now, though, Todd, is not looking what happened after the shooting and the getaway. They're looking prior to getting up to that building where the shots were coming from. I'm sure they've identified from trajectory. It's not going to be too difficult. The general area from where that came from, they're going to be able to look. Everyone always thinks what happened after the crime. They're looking what happened at the footprints prior to getting up there. But again, it makes me nervous that this is going to be a well-planned and well-executed, unfortunately, homicide.
Reading through some of the eyewitness accounts, Brian, from people who were there, one attendee said that he had a gun. He left it in his car because he assumed that there would be metal detectors there. And then when he got to the event, he was surprised by the lack of security. And then we have law enforcement yesterday at the press conferences saying that there were 6 officers assigned to this event, along with Charlie Kirk's personal security. What do you make of that? It was an event of 3,000 people.
Here we go. Now we're going to look at what the university had for a budget to plan for safety. How much were they going to spend on officers at this type of event? How much did they put into security? I can tell you this, it's going to change. It always happens after these events is everyone's going to start now really over planning. It's confounding to me. You know, we planned for a Trump visit in Hartford years and years ago. We covered everything. I mean, every window, everything. The complacency that goes into event planning and to looking into these things is astounding and incredibly unfortunate here this morning that we have to deal with it. But I like that the chief was forthcoming and that they only had 6 officers and that they could have had more. This is a learning lesson for all those campuses across the United States. Now, when they have these types of events, maybe you move them indoors. It's much easier to control in an indoor event, but I'm sure that Charlie probably wanted it outdoors. He liked that type of scenario and that type of feel. It creates more security challenges, but you can certainly plan an event where you pivot or turn things so you can cover everything.
Do you think the FBI knows who the shooter is at this point?
Good question. I think they have some leads. They're not going to say anything. They're not going to tell us, you know, and you saw some communication where they had a suspect, they didn't have a suspect. It gets confusing. I can tell you this, the homicide detectives, the FBI agents, the state homicide detectives, they don't want to tell anyone anything. Other than public, please help us. You don't want anyone knowing anything because that secrecy is only to your benefit in chasing down a killer. So there is that conflict between command staff or, you know, directors and the field investigators of sharing information, but you want to be very controlling of what you put out to the public.
Yeah, we do know that 2 people were taken into custody and then released, but law enforcement on every single level is going to be working tirelessly to find this shooter. Former homicide detective Brian Foley, thank you for joining us.
Yeah, so they want to keep the people on edge, man. Right now, with all of that being said, we just gonna say something out?
No, you guys left.
Okay. With all of that being said, right? Because I was thinking about this last night, man. All right, everything that's happening right now, they told you 2 years ago, and I brought this article out numerous times, right? And we're gonna read it just to show you that all of this shit is controlled, man. It's all psyops, man. Right. So this is from The Guardian. This article is more than 2 years old, right? So it says these are conditions ripe for political violence. How close is the U.S. to civil war, right? How much more now from 2 years prior, right? All this stuff that's going on. Okay. It says nearly half of Americans fear their country will erupt within the next decade. Ahead of midterm elections this week, 3 experts analyzed the depth of the crisis, right? So let's get to the point. All right, here highlighted in yellow. All right. So they're doing exactly what was written here. Okay. This is the beginning. It says, if a second civil war breaks out in the U.S., it will be a guerrilla war fought by multiple militias spread around the country, right? So they have all of these Edomite militia groups that have been pretty much weaponized. All right. You got the ICE, you got the the police force. All right. You got these federal agencies, all right, that they're deploying around these major cities to start getting active. We're in the midst of that now, right? It will be a guerrilla war fought by multiple small militias spread around the country. It says their targets will be civilians, right? Hey, what was the it was a woman that said that now she was bringing it out that now ICE can target people based off your race and nationality,
Right.
you know. It says targets will be civilians, mainly minority groups. All right, that's the tribes. Okay, the so-called Negro, Latino, Native Americans, and Hispanics. Opposition leaders and federal employees. See, judges will be assassinated. Okay, Democrats and moderate Republicans will be jailed on bogus charges. It says black churches and synagogues bombed. Pedestrians picked off by snipers in city streets. How ironic is that? Right? As we saw what happened to Captain Kirk, right? He was he not picked off by a sniper? The video's viral. Okay, they said he was how far would they say it was 200 feet, 200 yards, something like that, right? It says pedestrians picked off by snipers in city streets and federal agents threatened with death should they enforce federal law. The goal will be to reduce the strength of the federal government and those who support it, while also intimidating minority groups, right? Is that not happening now? It says while also intimidating minority groups and political opponents into submission. So, hey, so they told you how this thing was playing out. This shit is moving exactly how it's written here, man. Go ahead, Aggie was gonna say something.
No, I just want to get this for you.
Got it.
15 and 15. For the sword and their destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up and fight against another, and swords in their hands. Right? America's the most armed group of civilians in the world, man. Yep. Right? So these people are prepared to go to war, right, for whatever they believe in. As they see the things that they put their trust in can start to crumble, right? They're going to take these things into their own hands, man.
That's right.
It says, for there shall be sedition among men and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power, right? Yep. So this Kirk guy, right, though he wasn't a major political figure, he had a large following, right? Yep. So now they're looking at him. What Trump is about to give him the Medal of Freedom, right? You know, they're gonna glorify this guy, right, to the point that he's gonna be seen as a martyr for the cause, man.
Yep.
Right. It says, a man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able. So, it's like you see, they're talking about bolstering the police forces, right? They already have National Guard positioned in these various states and cities. You know, the sanctuary cities where the migrants were located, they're already preparing ICE raids and things of that nature.
Yep.
For because of their pride, the city shall be troubled, the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid. A man shall have no pity on his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with sword and spoil their goods because of the lack of bread and for great tribulation. Right. So it's going to be more and more of this. What's the word? Dog eat dog world, man.
Yep.
Right. People are going to be, in fear for their life. This is like when the DC snipers was going out there.
Yep.
Right. People are looking over their shoulder because they truthfully don't know, right, who could be the next victim. Right. You had the Charlotte, the train stabbing shit that happened out here. Right. So that whole area, people have been making reports on how it's like there's more and more violence taking place out there, man. Right. Mm-hmm. So everybody's on edge right now. Right. And it's going to cause more things to stir up like this.
There you go. And this right here with this Charlie Kirk guy, this is the catalyst to cause all hell to break loose, man. Because remember, the beginning of this year, right? I want to say what was the dude? Luigi Mangione, where he shot that CEO of that healthcare dude, right? And then you had Trump, remember? When the whole shit where he got his ear chipped, had the shit on his ear. You see what I'm saying? So they've been, conditioning the masses for, some type of civil war breaking out, man. Some all hell breaking loose. Now I wanted to read this real quick. You was gonna say something, Mark?
I got it.
I'm gonna read this real quick and we'll get back to more scriptures and clips here, right? But we just want to show the people that's watching that all of this shit is all orchestrated, man. Okay, so it says here in that same article, it says the U.S. is not yet in a civil war, but a 2012 declassified report by the CIA on insurgencies outlines the signs. According to the report, a country is experiencing an open insurgency when sustained violence by increasingly active extremists has become the norm. See, by this point, violent extremists are using sophisticated weapons such as improvised explosive devices and begin to attack vital infrastructure such as hospitals, bridges, and schools, rather than just individuals. These attacks also involve a large number of fighters, some of whom have combat experience. There is often evidence, according to the report, of an insurgent penetration and subversion of the military, police, and intelligence services. You see that? So these are all trained ops, right? It says, in this early stage of civil war, extremists are trying to force the population to choose sides, in part by demonstrating to citizens that the government cannot keep them safe or provide basic necessities. The goal is to incite a broader civil war by denigrating the state and growing support for violent measures. You see that? So everything is moving according to plan again, right? Now, before we move on, I just want to play these two scriptures and then we'll get back. These two videos and then we'll get back to the scriptures here, right? Things that caught my attention online, right?
Members of Congress are actively being blackmailed. The Epstein playbook is being used on a daily basis. Jeffrey Epstein was not a financier. He was not a hedge fund manager. Jeffrey Epstein was a key player in a multi-decade blackmail operation against the most powerful people on the planet.
You see that? So, hey, he was going against the grain. You know what I'm saying? So, hey, this was most likely a hit from up top, man. And see, these guys like Charlie and Myron and the rest of these people, Candace Owens, right? Who else I can think of? Alex Jones, right? Guys like that, they may use to set forth examples. You never know, which is going to cause more chaos and confusion. Here's another one, right? Because like we said, a lot of the stuff that's going on, all right, they got to, because Esau is being exposed so bad. Matter of fact, give me Jeremiah 49:10. Okay, see, Esau is being exposed so bad with the trafficking of children, the satanic rituals, the Epstein files, man. They need mass distractions to keep people's attention all over the place, man, because they don't need people focusing on this stuff, man. So, hey, we knew at the time when all of that Epstein stuff started to come out, the Diddy shit, we knew that they were going to take drastic measures to pretty much, cover shit up, to keep people's attentions away. You got it, bro.
So Jeremiah 49:10. But I have made Esau bare. I have uncovered his secret places, and he shall not be able to hide himself. His seed is spoiled, and his brethren, and his neighbors, and he is not.
Yeah. So Esau, he can no longer hide himself, man. Like the Most High, Yahweh Shemel Shai, is making this devil completely bare, bro. All right, you're talking about the shameful spewing, all of that, man. Everybody around the world sees America exactly for what it is. All right, that look, and like we talked about, look at the leadership of the society, man. It's a failure. Okay, everything in all these MAGAs, these people that were pro-right and Republicans and shit like that, they're seeing that Trump is a fraud, man. Okay, he's a puppet for the elites, man. People thought that he was going to lower gas prices. He was going to lower the prices of food. He was going to bring down the inflation. Shit has gotten worse. You see that? And this is why these people are ready to stand up and rebel. Okay? So it's pretty much a wrap for this place, man. Right? Let's play this too. So again, Esau can't hide himself no more, man. Right?
Charlie Kirk was shot and killed in public. 1 month ago, Charlie said this about his donors.
The more you try to tell me I can't criticize Israel, the more likely I am to do it, to focus on exactly what you're doing.
I have less ability sometimes online to criticize the Israeli government than actual Israelis do. The way you are treating me is so repulsive. The more you attack our moral character, the more we're going to double down in a direction, because
100%.
screw you, I don't do it that way. I'm afraid.
Charlie spoke to Netanyahu 2 weeks ago. He was the CEO of Turning Point, which hosted the Jewish Leadership Conference in Israel with Yair Netanyahu. Recently, he's been changing his mind. But even if he didn't, he could be pro-Israel, pro-Palestine, pro-Mao, pro-capitalism. If you celebrated his death, you are part of the problem. Rest in peace to Charlie and his family.
They're reporting that Charlie has died. That he's dead. At the age of 31.
Yeah, so it's all types of rituals and sacrifices going on, man. But the point is that there's a bigger agenda. You know, they're getting ready to come against those that's speaking out against the small hats. All right, that's coming against the grain. All right, and like we've been saying this for the past 3 weeks now. Remember, and we've been seeing an explosion, especially online with these podcasts, right? Myron, okay, Candace Owens linked up with Alex Jones, right? A lot of these, guys that's been on these podcasts, they've been going hard on these small hats, man, these 48ers. See what I'm saying? So in the spirit, we knew that some shit was bound to go down, okay? Because right now, what are they doing? Enforcing laws, okay, on the freedom of speech. Okay, they want to, give you jail time, lock you up, persecute you for speaking out against the Amalekites. All right, so we're in them times, man. We're in some very, deadly serious times, bro. Right, but the point here, going back, and I got one more clip, and we'll grab scriptures. So bear with me, right? But like we were saying, major psyops are going out, man. And here's the point: it says here, killing of Trump ally lays bare America's bloody and broken politics. Now, I want to play this, right? Dealing with those psyops, because they're like we're going to hear, they're pretty much desensitizing the public to get used to these shootings and these acts of terror, so the public can beg the government to come in and bring the solution, right?
Now we're going to give you a play-by-play. This is the order you can expect things to change in when you are being psyoped. Is that about right?
That's exactly right. I'll give you the exact steps. If the government was going to pull off what we would call a world-changing manufactured event, the first part of that, before you get to the actual steps, this is called the Overton window.
I do know the Overton window, yeah. For anyone who doesn't know what that is, the Overton window is basically all the information that it's acceptable to talk about in public. So what I drew here really quick was, this is the Overton window in the middle, and then on one side you have an H for denial, and over here you have the hammer and sickle for bring back the Soviet Union. Those are things you could not put on the news because people would go, whoa, it's getting a little crazy, right? So the Overton window is just all the things that people don't think are crazy to talk about. They know how to move the Overton window one way or the other, or stretch it or shrink it.
Exactly. The first part of the process is the Overton window has to be moved to where what's about to happen becomes acceptable to talk about. You have what's called a normalization phase. During the normalization phase, news organizations talk about the subject. Let's pretend for a minute, let's go back to the drones. Let's say that the drones turned into something that was even bigger than it was. They would be putting up footage of drone activity all the time.
In case you don't remember, that's exactly what they did.
And what that does is it normalizes to the rest of America that this is common. This is happening all the time. Once you're desensitized, you're willing to accept even more. After you normalize it, is setting the stage for the big reveal.
So then after you normalize something and put it in the Overton window, what they would then do would be something like saying, hey, there are even more people with even more information that's coming, and we're about to find out what it is. And that creates tension and fear in the general public, and they start needing to know what's coming.
So now you ramp it up, you get the anticipation. That invokes the need of some sort of salvation, some sort of rescuing.
So once they normalize the thing and then they create fear around it, then they give the public the idea that they need to be saved from the thing.
And the someone always ends up being a government organization. And that's what they want you to think, is the government needs to step up to rescue us.
Yep. That's it. Now before we get to scripture, give me 2 Corinthians 2:11. Now, before we read it, this is what they're normalized. This is what we're trying to tell you. Right? Check this out.
Police in Washington state say this is the arsenal of weapons found in the home of a 13-year-old boy they believe was planning a school massacre.
Every detective, every SWAT member that went into that home, 100% will say that we stopped a major mass shooting from happening.
The suspect appearing in court Monday, pleading not guilty to multiple felonies. In charging documents, prosecutors say the teen had written threats on social media, sharing photographs holding semi-automatic rifles.
He had everything packed and ready to go, and it likely was just a matter of time before he decided to cause havoc in our community.
Authorities say they found 23 weapons in the home, many of which were unsecured. And there were several handguns and homemade long guns that had been made using 3D printed parts known as ghost guns, a growing concern for law enforcement.
It's concerning to know how many of these guns are being made and whose hands they're going into.
According to police, the suspect was obsessed with school shooters, and the walls of his room were covered with drawings and pictures of past shootings. They say he also had a gas mask and a backpack full of ammunition, including several AR-style magazines, which had writings on them referencing mass shootings.
Now, this 13-year-old could potentially be released from jail in a week as he awaits his trial. There's also so far no word on if his parents could potentially be charged for allegedly failing to secure all those weapons.
You see what I'm saying? So how the fuck does this 13-year-old have access to this type of weaponry, man? All right. You see what I'm saying? But this is the point we're making here. This is all part of that psychological programming here. All right. These psyops. All right. They're getting people used to hearing about mass shootings. You just saw Charlie Kirk get smoked on camera, right? They're desensitizing people, and it's going to cause the people to beg the government to bring forth the salvation, the solution, which they're already doing. This is why they got the troops and shit strategically placed. All right, martial law is damn near, pretty much, in effect. So it's all part of the plan, right? Go ahead, I'll read that scripture, bro.
Okay. This is 2 Corinthians 2 and verse 11. Least Satan should get an advantage of us, for we are not ignorant of his devices.
Yeah, we're not ignorant of Satan's devices, man. This is clear. Okay, all these acts of violence, if you will, are not random. This is what we're trying to tell you. This is why we read Ephesians, the 5th chapter, opening it up, to be circumspect, because the days are evil. This nigga about to pull out all types of shit, man. This Charlie Kirk thing, hey, this is just the tip of the iceberg, so to speak, man. There's going to be more situations as we read, man. All right. This is why I keep coming back to this article, because everything that they said is playing out. We're seeing it. Okay. Militia spread around the country. Targets being civilians, mainly minority groups. All right. Pedestrians picked off by snipers in city streets. Black churches and synagogues bombed. You see what I'm saying? Judges assassinated. Right. This is what's going to bring America to its knees. This was going to bring forth the chaos in Babylon, man. How can you not see it? Right? Get Isaiah 19 and was 2 or 3, Egyptian versus Egyptian. Get that real quick too.
If I may make a mention too, when you read that 2 Corinthians in the NLT, it speaks on how we're familiar with his evil schemes, man.
Beautiful.
Which means these are things that they've done time and time again. Right, so we're able through the spirit of the Yahushua to line these things up, right? To be able to point back. Look, they did this before. We see they're running the same playbook over and over again, man.
Exactly.
Right? This is Isaiah 19 and verse 2. And I will set the Egyptians against the Egyptians, and they shall fight everyone against his brother and everyone against his neighbor, city against city, and kingdom against kingdom.
Speak on that.
Right. So this is the stage being set for civil war right now, man. Right. This guy was a major Republican speaker. Right. You know, he was like their like the brother said, their Martin Luther King.
Right.
So what we're seeing right now is they're gonna push that Republican Democrat versus narrative, man, which is ultimately gonna lean into bringing you Israelites into it, right? Which then you're gonna see them start to creep into the deportations, the ICE situation, right? Bringing these different militarized police forces, right, to create order because there's gonna be such sedition among the people, man.
That's it. That's it. I want to read this too. I was looking for some more content here just to add on to the point we're making. All right. But same article again, it says here at the bottom, Stephen Mark, it says America has passed the point at which the triumph of one party or another can fix what's wrong with it. Right. Yeah, it's over with, man. Because people know that both parties, whether you red or blue, you know, Democratic, Republican, whatever the case is, they all work for the same team, man. You know, but it says the United States is a textbook of a country headed towards civil war. The trends increasingly point one way, and while nobody knows the future, little, if anything, is being done by anyone to try to prevent the collapse of the republic. Belief in democracy is ebbing. The legitimacy of institutions is declining. See, America is increasingly entering a state where its citizens don't want to belong to the same country. As we always talk about, people are losing faith and confidence in the system, in the government. They don't trust shit. Okay. It says these are conditions ripe for political violence. It says no civil war has no civil war ever has a single cause. It's always a multitude of factors that lead to decline and collapse. This is why so much shit is going on, man. All right. This is why people's minds and attentions are all over the place, man. Okay. Deportations. All right. The military forces cracking down on inner cities. All right. Mass shootings of schools. All right. They're trying to ban Transformers from owning guns. Okay. That's been the latest thing too. Okay. There's so much happening. It says it's always a multitude of factors that lead to the decline and collapse. The current U.S. has several of what the CIA calls threat multipliers. Environmental crises continue to batter the country. Economic inequality is at its highest level since the founding of the country, right? Which we've been talking about that. Okay, people don't know how the hell they're gonna make it in these times, man. Right. It says in demographic change means that the U.S. will be a minority white country within let me read that again. It says in demographic change means that the U.S. will be a minority white country within just over 2 decades. This is why these guys like, you know, Charlie Kirk, they were pushing that, you know, let's not be ashamed of being white. You know, let's make America white again. That whole energy, man. Right. You got Edomites, you know, making cities for themselves. You know, separating themselves, all white towns and shit like that, because they know what time it is. Right. It says all of these factors tend to contribute to civil unrest wherever they are found in the world. See, last part here. It says, but the U.S. is more vulnerable to political violence than any. But the U.S. is more vulnerable to political violence than other countries because of the decrepitude of its institutions. For 40 years, trust in institutions of all kinds, the church, right? And the church is dead. All right, that Christianity shit is played out. Okay, white Jesus is done. The church, the police, journalism, academia has been in a free fall. Trust in politicians can hardly fall any lower. See, people don't trust the president, the politicians, the mayors, the governors, none of that, man. And there is no reason for, it says, and there is no reason for trust. The Constitution, while unquestionably a work of genius, was a work of 18th century genius. It simply does not reflect, nor can it respond to, the realities of the 21st century. Right? That's what we've been telling you, man. The Constitution, your so-called, civil liberties and all of that shit is about to be out the fucking window, man.
Nope.
Okay. Welcome to martial law. Welcome to the police state, man. Welcome to all hell breaking loose right in your face, man. Right? And we'll leave it there. Do I want to read any more? It's a real long article, but yeah, that's a good point too. Many white people feel the need to take drastic measures to maintain white supremacy. That's what's going on now. Okay, make America white again. All right, so all this stuff is all tied into the fall of Babylon, civil war, man. All right, as we just read Isaiah 19 and 2 Ezra 15, man. It's a wrap. You got anything else you want to put in there?
Con. This is 2 Ezra 16. And starting in verse 37, because you made mention of how these people are being surrounded, right, by all these different events, right? They don't know which way to turn right now. It says, behold, the plagues draw nigh and are not slack, as when a woman with child in the 9th month bringeth forth her son. With 2 or 3 hours of her birth, great pains compass her womb. And that's what we're seeing is these pains start to intensify now.
Sure.
It says, which pains when the child cometh forth, they slack not a moment. So it's happening faster and faster.
Yep.
Even so, shall not the plagues be slack to come upon the earth, and the world shall mourn, and sorrow shall come upon it on every side. Right. So people are in fear economically, socially, politically, right? Interpersonal relationships are starting to crumble, right? Everything that all the foundations of this world are being uprooted, man. Right? Everything that they thought they could find comfort in is being dissolved, as you read in the Isaiah 19, in the first verse.
Yep.
Says the hearts of the Egyptians shall melt, man. We're watching that mindset of people being more willing to embrace chaos because they have nothing else to look forward to, man.
Exactly. And this is a crash out society.
Mm-hmm.
But that, matter of fact, get that in Matthew. The love of many shall wax cold. Get that. And before you get that, let me read this in this article here. Right? This just caught my eye. It says, it's talking about Charlie Kirk. It says he was an advocate of gun rights and conservative values. The irony, right? It says, an outspoken critic of transgender rights and a staunch of unapologetic Donald Trump supporter. His turning point U.S. organization played a key role in the voter turnout drive that saw the president return to the White House this year. It says the tent where he was shot had quote proved me wrong and emblazoned on it. He was a hero to young conservative students in particular, meeting them while they were and offering them a movement of their own. The point here says Kirk's killing is both another episode of shocking gun violence in America, which we talked about how they're conditioning the masses to get used to. It says in an ever-lengthening line of recent political violence. See? So this is the turn up, man. Right? You got it. You go ahead and read that.
And verse 12, and because iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold.
There you go, man. Since iniquity is abounding here, sin and transgression is at its absolute worst. All right. So the love of many shall wax cold, man. The Lord has put a cold, psychotic spirit on these people out here, man. All right. It's going to be more, people crashing out, losing their damn minds. It's going to be more shootings. It's going to be more acts of violence and crime. All right. That's the state of America. That's how this place is getting ready to go out. As America was established on violence, it's going to go out with violence, man. You see that? And that's the will of Yahweh Shem Yahushai. Right? Got anything you want to add in there?
That was it.
That's it, man. So we're not going to be long-winded, man, but we wanted to show you, again, all of this shit is indeed set up, man. Okay? Charlie Kirk, Unalived, in major Psyops, chaotic times indeed, man. All right? So pay attention. All right? So hey, we'll leave it like that. Any last words, Ak?
Hey, like we read in that Ephesians, man, be circumspect, right? This world is getting, increasingly and more evil, right? So it's coming to a time where, you have to, the ranks are being tightened, man, right? We don't have time to be intermingled with the affairs of the rest of these people out here, because we see where their states are, man. We see where their minds are headed,
Right. Yeah. This is just the start, man. See that? So, hey, we pray that this this live lesson was edifying to all the viewers out there, man. Hey, keep your head on the swivel. Stay circumspect, man. We're indeed some very chaotic times, perplexity of the people, mass confusion. So expect this thing to turn up, man. All right. Remember, you were warned by the prophets of the GMS, Great Millstone first. All right. We're going to close it out by giving all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahushai, Bahasham Rakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders, a great millstone who taught us the truth. And shalom to the hopeful elect. Hey, shalom. Shalom.